All right, y'all, so I just want to give you a quick update. It's going to be brief, it's going to be fast. Actually, it's going to be part of a longer video, but what I want to take you through is what we got going on right now. So the other day, I actually finished off the commander's unit. So we've got the general and his bodyguard. So they're going to be a unit of veteran warband troops, kind of light on the loose on the spacing. I really like, I mean, you probably won't be able to see him super well with the light, but I really like that guy with the blue shield and the green cloak, putting a sword in the air. This unit, the bodyguard unit, is kind of a collection of champions is the way I see it. The best kind of unit, the best individuals are bodyguarding the general. So on the workbench, I've been doing the warband basing actually a little differently for these fellows than I have in the past. Now, if you look at, so this is a unit I painted up like a year ago, and I actually stuck on this back extender onto the base to make my units a little more deep. So that unit is very densely packed. I think my future units are not going to be quite so dense. So here we've got the kind of work in progress. So instead of building one unit at a time, I'm building kind of 4 at the same time, and then I'm progressively putting on the basing material to be a little neater than I have in the past. So this one I started yesterday actually. So I put down the front row of troops, put down basing material, put down the rear row, put on more basing material, etc., etc. So now we just have the last little back rank to go for them. These guys, so you can see these units I have right here. So obviously they're on just the first line of troops. We're gonna make 3 more units of veteran noble warriors, I guess you could call them. So heavily armored. These are going to be the shock troops of the army. It is going to be their job, and they probably have the toughest job in the game, to break through the Roman ranks, okay? Break through the Roman ranks and defeat the Roman army. Now, in the historical battle, the Alemanni nobles did actually manage to break through the front line of the Roman army, rout some units, but they were actually stopped by the reserve. So it'll be their job to actually break through and rout that front line. So we'll see if we'll see if they pull it off on the big day. All right, so I'll leave it at that. And what we'll probably do is we'll cut back and we'll have some more basing material on here and another line of troops. All right, so it is now Thursday, and we've got a lot of the Barbarian horde based up. So in front of you here, we've got the 4 veteran war bands. So these are going to be the troops that will break the Roman lines. So I'll just take you through the units real quick. Point out some of my favorite characters. So Blue Shield here, one of my favorite guys from the unit, from the painting process. I really do like the commander and the commander's base. This guy with the red shield I think is pretty cool. He's got the cloak with the teeth on it. So these are a mix of, you know, they're mostly Victrix, but there are some metals mixed in there as well. This unit I think is my favorite of the warbands. I love this guy at the front with the spear charging in, the leader of the unit. This figure didn't come out quite as nice as I would like, the figure slightly behind. But I really like that style of helmet. I wish more of the figures had that helmet style. I really like it. One of my absolute favorite guys, this guy with the mask in this pose with the stripy shield. I think he just turned out looking really cool. So that's one of our veteran units here. And then the back, we got a warlord with his bearskin cloak. And I like this guy right behind him too. He doesn't have a beard. I kind of imagine him maybe as his son or something. I don't know. And then, yeah, his kind of little retinue of warriors. And then our last unit of veteran war bands. So yeah, I think I'm reasonably pleased with how these guys came out. I think they'll look a lot better once they're all flocked up with the grass. But for right now, I think they look good. All right, I also did, so yeah, we got the 2 units of regular dudes in the back. So if you notice, the one on the right that I did earlier is a lot denser than the one on the left. I think I kind of like the look of the denser unit a little bit more than the looser unit. So maybe the next batch of dudes I think maybe we'll do them in the denser shield wall. These ones I did, the main reason why I did them looser is there are just so many kind of cool looking characters, I thought anyways. If you really bunch them up, you can't really see the figures as well because they're so packed together, they block each other. So with these guys, I did kind of want you to be able to see all the different characters in the units. That's why I did them looser. But anyways, we got this horde still to do. I'm thinking we'll maybe get, I would assume maybe like 3 or 4 more units out of them. Hopefully 4. And that will give me approximately maybe 10 of these war bands. And that will be this guy's division, which that is, I mean, that is a huge division. Maybe that, but you know, I think part of that, having the bigger divisions, it represents maybe the lack of command and control that the Germanic commander suffered from in that time period. It's going to be harder to coordinate the effort, which I think is realistic somewhat. Okay, I did have one other thing I wanted to talk about, but I'm forgetting. So maybe we'll just wrap it up. Oh yes, yeah, okay, here we go. So these guys, they're all kind of done. My goal with these figures was to do kind of a later period look to them. In contrast to your like classic kind of Germanic warrior. So all oval and round shields, well, mostly oval and round shields. I did mix in some of the other shaped shields in as well. Those didn't go out of use, but they just became less common over time. So they were, I mean, they 100% were using like shields like this still in the later periods. They were just less common. At least that's what the grave goods seems to suggest. The round shields become more prominent. You will notice like a lot of them have Roman helmets and whatnot. Probably actually though, there would be more likely to have a Roman style helmet than a barbarian style helmet, just because there was so much more metal industry in Rome. And many of these guys, they would have served in the Roman army in some capacity at some point in their lives anyways. Some of the shields actually, I used leftover Roman shields. And I know we're getting into a ramble territory here, but I'll just finish this thought out. So these guys, obviously, they're going to be the Alemanni at Strasbourg, but my plan is for them also to be used as Goths. And that's specifically why I kind of did all of these, trying to give them a later period look, is so that they can be Goths in other circumstances. And Roman equipment would have been very prevalent among the Goths for a number of reasons. So the first one is, I mean, the Goths were a major source of manpower for the Romans. Many Goths would have served in the Roman army over the years in different capacities, whether as mercenaries, whether as foederati, so basically like allied troops, or potentially in the Roman army proper itself as well, in actual Roman formations. So that is one way they could come into Roman equipment. The other way is actually from looting the equipment. So if you're familiar with the story of the Goths, they crossed the Rhine into the empire. They actually make a deal. They want farmland and protection from the Huns, and the Romans agree to let them in. But actually when the Goths crossed, the Romans disarmed them. And I'm sure they would have probably hidden some weapons away, but for the most part, the Goths get disarmed when they cross. Then the Romans try and cheat the Goths. They don't give them the food. They start treating them dog meat for their children as slaves, and the Goths are starving and abused. So they end up basically rebelling due to that situation, because the Romans keep on being more and more treacherous. It's one treachery after another. The Romans try and assassinate the Gothic leadership, and that's kind of the breaking point. And the Goths rebel, and even despite being disarmed, they actually defeat a Roman army and then loot all the equipment and then keep on defeating Roman armies. So the Roman equipment would have, they would have been looting it directly from Roman armies as they continued to defeat Roman armies. So there you go. We'll call it there. Have a good one, folks.